Feminine energy is everywhere, but what makes it so irresistible? It's not about what you own or what you put on, it's about who you become. Hey everyone, welcome to the Magnetic Online Leaders Podcast. I'm your host, Stefi Lane, and in this video, we're going to talk about why the feminine energy is so dang popular right now. As someone that has studied it for the last decade, I am like, it is about time. Let's go. Let's do this. Let's make it happen. So why the feminine energy is so in its it factor right now. You see it everywhere on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. It is absolutely irresistible and women are flocking back to this feminine energy. I'm here to break it down for you. The backstory. How did we get here? The feminine energy has been suppressed for many centuries and definitely in the last few decades. It has been overshadowed by the masculine energy. And while the feminine energy is so ancient, it has been extremely suppressed. So that's one thing I want you to feel that. Like when I say the word suppressed, where do you feel it? Like even right now, I feel it on my heart. I feel it on my chest, like an elephant sitting on my chest. Like I can't be who I want to be. Women were encouraged to embrace hustle culture, proving that they could do it all in the workplace. I am a child. I grew up in the 90s. I am born 87. And I remember seeing commercials with women with shoulder pads and, she brings home the bacon and she makes the bacon. Like I remember a commercial being like that. And it was really drilled home where you can make the money and you can also eat the money per se. This resulted in women leaning heavily into their masculine energy, the hustle, the grind, at the cost of their intuitive, their nurturing, their creative, their health side. So many things got sacrificed and pushed this side. The romantic side for this masculine energy taking over the feminine. You see, I grew up in the girl boss era. Sophia Amorosa, nasty gal. That movement was pivotal, but it swung the pendulum too far, leaving many of us disconnected to our feminine energy. So you remember all that hashtag girl boss? Like, oh my goodness, that used to be me. I just loved it so much, but I ended up being really burnt out, really exhausted, and just not enjoying and loving life. So when did this feminine awakening happen? I started to feel it in 2012 and 2013. So there was a first wave that happened, and I really started to dive into my feminine practices without even calling it that and knowing that. I would say 2016, 2017. I was very curious, looking it up, doing the research, understanding, uncovering all these things. Then in 2018, I went to Bali right after I got married. We went to Bali and I did a divine feminine workshop there. And I started to dive in and read tons and tons of books and just get curious. And I literally could not find enough information on this stuff. Now you find it everywhere. But at the time in 2018, 2019, I couldn't find this stuff. So the Great Awakening, the Divine Feminine Awakening in 2020. This is when everything was pivotal and things started to change. So in 2020, a global pause for reflection. We know what happened. It forced people to slow down, assess their lives. You had to be home more. You had to decide what was important for you, decide if you enjoyed the people that you lived with. There was a lot that came up and that happened during that time. Women began asking, what do I really want? Who do I want to become? What do I want to create? What is the best for me? And this is when I started to see a lot of feminine embodiment, movement, things changing in the online space and in the online world. There was this rediscovery of the feminine energy. I'm going to take a tea break. Speaking of being in my feminine, we started to crave softness, simplicity, and connection. Feminine energy started to become a hot tea for the soul. Oh my God, of course I have tea. And a way of coming home to ourselves. And women started to realize, I don't have to do more to be enough. I am already whole. I'm already enough. Oh, that was a big one. Knowing that you are already whole as you are, and there was nothing to prove, there was nothing to bring to the table, as that's very popular right now. It's like you are whole already as you are. So why feminine energy is so magnetic? Oh, I just love saying that. Why? Why? Tell me why. Why do you think? Because there's a lot, but the first thing I'll say, it's a rebellion against hustle culture. It offers an alternative to linear, goal-focused living. Really like that 1, 2, 3, ABC, this leads to that, very logical, linear type of living, which can get very mundane. And it encourages flow, trust, love, rather than an endless to-do list. Another thing, social media amplified its beauty. Instagram and other platforms showcased feminine energy through aesthetic, curated homes, rituals, beauty, fashion, style, the grid, the whole thing. And why feminine energy is so magnetic is because feminine energy is very bold and very fun to play with. Oh, the energy is very playful. It's very poppable. It feels like a superpower because it is a superpower. Feminine energy isn't weak or manipulative or passive. It's powerful, it's creative, it's nurturing. It's the energy that builds empires in the aligned way, in the way that best suits you. Let's talk about living in your feminine energy, because this is somewhere I love to live. I love to live in my feminine energy 80% of the time, and then 20% of my masculine. Sometimes that dynamic changes, but that's me personally. Everyone's different on what their equation is. So actually that would be a fun thing for you to figure out. I got that from my friend Amy Natalie. She wrote a beautiful book called The Feminine Way, and I'll make sure to link it below because that book is a beautiful resource if you're pretty new to the divine feminine, the feminine energy, and you want to tap more into it. You see, feminine energy is who you are. It's not something you buy or achieve. It's your essence. Tapping into it feels like coming home. And try small acts of joy. Like literally having my tea. It's too hot right now, but when I do have my tea, it is such a beautiful act of joy, a small one. Cook a meal, journal, dance, look at something beautiful, or take a walk in nature. These small acts are a rebellion against a world that wants you to constantly produce, and a world that's constantly demanding more, where the feminine energy is like, you're enough. You're whole. It's beautiful as it is. And you see, balance is key. Feminine energy doesn't reject the masculine, it complements it. Masculine energy provides the structure, while feminine energy brings the nourishment, the ease, the intuitive spark. I do tell you this with caution, because balance is key. It is very common for someone to discover the feminine energy and to lean so much into the feminine that they abandon structure, systems, routines, things like that. Extreme feminine energy can go into that fawn response. And the key takeaway here is to have both energies, softness with self-trust and action. And it's very sexy when you can blend them both. Why feminine energy is so it right now. We talked about the backstory and why it's been suppressed for centuries, especially the last few decades, why 2020 changed everything, big pivotal moment in the feminine energy movement, why feminine energy is so magnetic, it's extremely alluring, it is just on fire. It is beautiful when you can start to find your own recipe for it. Living in your feminine energy, how it can bring you joy, how it can bring you this sense of ease and this sense of satisfaction to your life. Caution, finding that balance, not going too hard into the feminine where you don't get anything done. I mean, go ahead. If you want to be a monk or a nun and you want to go into your cave and meditate and not do anything, go do that. But I want to be an active participant in this world. I came here to participate. I came here to be in here, in this space. So if you decide, if you want to be part of this earthly experience, then be present, then be here. And that takes a little bit of being in your masculine. So my final thoughts on feminine energy and how you can incorporate more into your life. How can you have rest without guilt? That was a big one for me. Oh my goodness. How can you bring more feminine energy into your life? Is it with tea? Is it with a candle? Is it adding beauty? Is it painting the walls? Is it adding a picture? Like, how can you create more of that? Feminine energy is about the being, not the doing. So how can you just be in that moment? I was listening to a little bit of Abraham Hicks yesterday, and it was, I guess, this 17 seconds to a better feeling, a better thought. And I was feeling into that. Let's take this 17 seconds. Let's just feel, I feel better. I feel good. I feel secure. I feel strong. I feel nurturing. I feel loving. I feel magnetic. I feel alluring. I feel like a goddess. oh, this is so incredible what I'm doing, what I'm creating. Like, let it compound. What am I doing? This is incredible. I'm creating art. I'm an artist. I'm a butterfly. I'm a princess. I'm a queen. Insert whatever you like to do with that. Thank you so much. If this episode resonated with you, please share it with a friend, and also join my magnetic email list at stefilane.com. That's STEFI lane.com, where I send out my magnetic newsletter. I send out offers and just really share some beautiful nuggets for my soul, my heart, from my feminine energy to yours. All right, I'll see you on the next one. Mwah.